The day everything changed. Have you ever worked so hard that your job became your entire life, only to lose it in less than 5 minutes? I have. And the man who ended my career wasn't just my boss. He was one of the richest businessmen in the country. People admired him. News channels called him a genius. Business magazines described him as a visionary. But behind the expensive suits and confident smile was a man who believed one thing: everyone was replaceable, including me. The strange part, he didn't know that the decision he made that morning would become the biggest mistake of his career, because 6 months later, he would be standing outside my office asking for a meeting. And this time, I would be the one making the decision. But before I tell you how that happened, you need to know how everything began. The dream job. My name is Daniel. For almost 8 years, I worked at Blackstone Global, one of the fastest growing technology companies in the country. Getting hired there felt impossible. Thousands applied every year. Only a handful made it. When I received my offer letter, I called my parents before I even signed the papers. My father cried. He had spent his whole life working long hours so I could have opportunities he never had. I promised him I would never waste them, and I didn't. I arrived before everyone else. I stayed after everyone left. Weekends became work days. Vacations became business trips. I wasn't chasing money. I wanted to build something meaningful. Slowly, people started noticing. Managers trusted me with difficult projects. Clients asked for me by name. Whenever there was a crisis, my team knew I would stay until it was solved. Those years weren't easy. I missed birthdays, family dinners, friends' weddings. Sometimes I wondered if the sacrifice was worth it. Then our company announced that its billionaire founder would return as CEO. His name was Victor Hale. Everyone in the office became nervous. Stories about him spread like wildfire. He expects perfection. He doesn't forgive mistakes. He can fire someone in less than a minute. Some people thought those stories were exaggerated. They weren't. Meeting the billionaire. The first time I saw Victor Hale, the room became completely silent. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't smile either. He simply walked into the conference room wearing a perfectly tailored dark suit. Every executive stood up immediately. His presence alone demanded attention. He looked at everyone before speaking. "I don't pay people for effort," he said calmly. "I pay for results." No one answered. He continued, "If you're here to protect your position, you're in the wrong company. If you're here to build something extraordinary, you'll have my respect." For a moment, I actually admired him. His confidence inspired me. I believed he wanted excellence. I didn't realize he confused excellence with fear. Over the following weeks, the company changed. Meetings became shorter. Deadlines became impossible. People stopped sharing ideas because they feared criticism. Instead of teamwork, everyone simply tried to survive. Still, I kept working. I believed hard work would always be recognized. That belief wouldn't last long. The project that changed everything. 3 months later, the company announced its biggest project ever, a revolutionary business platform that could change the future of the company. Winning this project meant promotions, recognition, career-changing opportunities. I spent every evening preparing. Research, designs, presentations. Every detail mattered. For nearly 2 months, I barely slept. Finally, presentation day arrived. The boardroom was full. Executives, department heads, Victor Hale. My presentation went perfectly. Every question received an answer. Every concern had a solution. When I finished, even the directors looked impressed. Victor simply nodded. Interesting. That was all he said. I wasn't disappointed. Coming from him, that felt like praise. 3 days later, the company announced the project leader, but it wasn't me. It was someone named Brian. Brian had joined only 8 months earlier. He smiled as everyone applauded him. Then he walked toward me. "You did great work," he whispered. "I'll make good use of it." For a second, I didn't understand. Then it hit me. The presentation, the research, the strategy, everything. He had presented my work as if it were his own. I immediately requested a meeting. Surely, this was a misunderstanding. I couldn't have been more wrong. The meeting that destroyed my career, Victor Hale sat behind his massive desk. Brian stood beside him. Neither looked surprised to see me. I took a deep breath. "Sir, the project belongs to my team. I created every part of it." Victor leaned back. "Do you have proof?" I opened my laptop. Emails, drafts, timelines, documents. Everything clearly showed my work. He looked at the screen for barely 10 seconds. The business began to grow. The truth begins to spread. One afternoon, I received an unexpected phone call. It was Ethan. He still worked at Blackstone Global. His voice sounded nervous. "Daniel, I can't stay long. Brian is taking credit for everyone's work. The company is losing good people." I wasn't surprised. When people stop trusting leadership, I said, everything starts falling apart. Ethan hesitated. "There's something else." "What?" "I found old project files. The ones you showed Victor. They prove everything was yours." I stayed silent. For months, I had imagined this moment. Proof. Real proof. But I didn't want revenge through anger. I wanted the truth to speak for itself. "Keep them safe," I told him. "Don't do anything yet." Success. They couldn't ignore. A year passed. My company had grown from 1 employee to 25, then 50. We moved into a larger office. Clients came because of one reason: trust. I never treated people the way I had been treated. Everyone was encouraged to share ideas. Every success was celebrated as a team. Every mistake became a lesson instead of an excuse to blame someone. People worked harder because they felt respected. One morning, my assistant smiled as she walked into my office. "Daniel, you should see today's business news." She handed me a tablet. The headline froze me. "Blackstone Global loses major client after internal dispute." Then another article. "Top executives resign in shock move." Then another. "Employees report toxic work culture." The company that once seemed unstoppable was beginning to crack. Not because of me, because fear can never replace trust. The invitation. A few days later, I received an email. The sender surprised me. Victor Hale. The subject line read, "Meeting request." I almost laughed. The man who wouldn't even listen to me now wanted my time. My assistant asked, "Should I delete it?" I thought for a moment, then smiled. "No. Schedule the meeting." But only for 15 minutes. Exactly the amount of time he once gave me. When the meeting day arrived, Victor walked into my office. He looked different, still confident, but older, more tired. He looked around the room before speaking. "You've done well." "Thank you," I replied calmly. He nodded. "I underestimated you." Those 4 words were something I never expected to hear, but I stayed quiet. He continued, "My company needs experienced leadership. I want you to come back. I'll double your previous salary." For a second, the younger version of me would have accepted immediately, but I wasn't that person anymore. I looked out the window at the team I had built, people who believed in me, people who trusted me. Then I turned back toward Victor. "I already have everything I was looking for." His confident expression began to fade. He wasn't expecting that answer. The offer that came too late. Victor Hale looked at me for several seconds. He wasn't used to hearing the word no. Finally, he leaned forward. "Daniel, name your price." I smiled politely. "This isn't about money." He frowned. "I can offer you more than anyone else." I shook my head. A year ago, I wasn't asking for more money. I was asking for fairness. Silence filled the room. For the first time since I had met him, Victor had no immediate answer. He slowly looked around my office. Through the glass walls, he could see my team working together. Some were discussing ideas on a whiteboard. Others were laughing over coffee before returning to work. No one looked afraid. No one seemed nervous. The atmosphere was completely different from the company he had built. "You've created something special," he admitted. I nodded. "Because people do their best work when they feel respected." He looked down at the table. I wish I had understood that sooner. The truth finally came out. A week later, Ethan contacted me again. "I think you should see this." He handed me a folder containing emails, project drafts, meeting notes, and time-stamped files. Every document proved the same thing. The project that launched Brian's career had been mine from the beginning. The evidence was undeniable. I could have posted everything online. I could have tried to embarrass everyone involved, but that wasn't the person I wanted to become. Instead, I gave the documents to the company's board through the proper legal process. A few weeks later, an internal investigation began. People were interviewed. Old records were reviewed. More employees finally found the courage to speak. One by one, the truth came into the light. Brian had taken credit for several projects. Managers had ignored honest employees. Fear had become more important than integrity. The board could no longer ignore what had happened. Brian quietly resigned. Several executives also stepped down. The company announced major leadership changes and promised a new culture. I didn't celebrate. Justice doesn't always need applause. Sometimes the truth is enough. An unexpected conversation. Months later, I attended a business leadership conference. After my speech, someone called my name. It was Victor. This time, there were no assistants, no security, no luxury office, just two people standing in a hallway. "I owe you an apology," he said. I looked at him without anger. "When you fired me, I believed power meant never admitting mistakes." He paused. I was wrong. Those words carried more weight than any business deal. I lost talented people because I stopped listening. I confused fear with respect. I thought results mattered more than character. I answered quietly. "Results matter, but how you achieve them matters even more." He nodded. "I understand that now." We shook hands, not because we were friends, but because neither of us wanted to carry the past forever. Sometimes forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about refusing to let yesterday control tomorrow. The real victory. As my company continued to grow, something unexpected happened. Many of my new employees were former workers from Blackstone Global. Some had left because they felt invisible. Others simply wanted a healthier workplace. Every person who joined us brought talent, experience, and fresh ideas. But before they started, I always told them the same thing. You're not here to compete against each other. You're here to help each other succeed. That simple message changed everything. Innovation increased. Clients stayed longer. Our reputation spread naturally. People didn't recommend us because we were the biggest company. They recommended us because they trusted us. One afternoon, Sarah smiled as she walked into my office. "Do you remember your first day here?" I laughed. "The broken chair, the leaking ceiling, the tiny office." She laughed too. "You never complained." I looked around our headquarters, hundreds of employees, bright meeting rooms, creative teams, happy conversations. None of it existed when I lost my job. If Victor had never fired me, I might never have discovered what I was truly capable of building. Final reflection. My greatest comeback. People often ask me if I got revenge on the billionaire who fired me. They expect a dramatic answer. They imagine secret plans, public humiliation, or some perfect moment of payback. But the truth is much simpler. The greatest revenge wasn't hurting him. It was refusing to let his decision define my future. Success became my answer. Integrity became my strength. Kindness became my leadership style. And every morning when I walk into my office and see people smiling because they enjoy where they work, I remember the day I walked out of that elevator carrying a single cardboard box. At the time, it felt like the end of my story. It wasn't. It was the first chapter of a better one. Moral: sometimes the people who reject you don't end your journey. They redirect it. Never let betrayal convince you that you've lost your worth. Work hard. Stay honest. Keep learning. Because the most powerful comeback is not proving your enemies wrong. It's building a life so meaningful that you no longer need their approval. The end.